There we go. Good afternoon, just afternoon, everybody. We'll give colleagues a few moments to join, so I'll just wrap it around. But Heather, nice to see you. Andy, thank you for joining us. Good to see you here. How are you, Heather?
I'm good, thank you.
Good stuff. And Andy, last bit of the summer term to go. Presumably this is all exams and compressed, trying to get everything done before the end of the year, I guess, for you.
Yeah, busy time of year. GCSE maths this morning as well, so that's just wrapping up in the corridor.
Yeah, my
very quiet on campus. Yeah.
And my son just walked in from that, but I have only the challenge of one child to deal with through that, whereas you presumably have several more than that to kind of.
Yeah, there's a few doing it this morning. Yeah, it's a busy day. Maths is always a bit busier than English, but good mornings. They're good.
Right.
They're very, very collaborative mornings. Lots of teams from across the college coming together, so it's good.
Amazing. Yeah, I've read LinkedIn posts about people with like 1,000 students sitting in various different places doing maths and English.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, easily more maybe. Yeah, absolutely.
Wow. Right,
Yeah.
Good stuff. Thank you. Let me. We'll get us started into this webinar, and thank you to all of you for signing up for this and for being here. So it's always nice to have some people here. We have 57 sign up, so that's really good to see. My name's Kieran White. I am delighted to be chairing this session today, but I am the least important person here as well. I'm the Chief Innovation Officer for FEA-I. And FEA-I is a joint venture company that we created with Matt Atkinson and FEA, and my company, Leading AI. And what that brings us, which I'm really excited about, is the FEA sector expertise in the FE and skills sector, and then the AI expertise, and putting those together to build and support colleges and skills providers with AI transformation. So what we do is build secure and private AI tools that are designed specifically around challenges that the sector faces. So that's what we're sort of all about. But we're not here to hear about that, are we? We are here today to look at our quality assistant, our AI quality assistant, and to share with you how it's being developed to nod towards the new Ofsted framework, whatever that ends up looking like. So we're not here to kind of pretend we have answers on all of that or any knowledge that no one else has, but we do have something which I am really excited about to share with you today, which is our unimaginatively titled Ofsted Transformer, which is all about taking existing SARs and data and showing how they would look under the toolkit as it stands today. And as we know, the toolkit may change, the dates may change. So we're just looking ahead to that future. We aren't pretending today that we have the answers on all of that. Who does? I am joined today, I'm really excited. Heather, in a moment, is going to demonstrate the tools right now, live on this webinar, and show you how they work. I know some of you already use these, but she's going to take us through that. Heather is our development manager at FEA-I, so super excited to have her do that demo. And we have Andy Cowan, who's the deputy principal at Nescott. Andy, I'm really pleased you're here. Andy has been using the AI quality assistant in the college, one of the trailblazer colleges with us, and he is going to give us his feedback, warts and all, on the experience of managers actually using it. So that's the part, I guess, that really counts, because it's how it actually works rather than how we like to talk about it. So Andy, I'm really grateful to you. We will take questions as we go. So in the GoToMeeting console that you're looking at, you should find, for me, it's towards the top right. You should be able to find a question box. You can type in any questions you like, and we will cover as many of those as we can, because we'd much rather this was talking to the things you want to hear about rather than necessarily us just telling you what we think you should know. We're recording the session, just so you know, but I don't think that matters for most of you, because you'll listen in listen-only mode according to my GoToWebinar piece. So let me stop rabbiting on and invite Heather, please, if you're happy to share your screen, show us the AI quality assistant, and then give us a sprinkling of the new version.
Yeah, so hello everyone, I'm Heather Backstrom, so I'm the new development manager for FEA-I, really exciting. So I am going to share So first of all, I'm going to run through the current quality tool that we've got, just to explain how it works, and then a very exciting whistle-stop tour and flavour of our new transformer, as Kieran has alluded to. So I'm just going to share my screen with you. So can I just get Kieran, can you see that? I just want as an okay, just to say you can see the platform.
Yes, yeah, we can
Perfect.
see. Yeah.
Fantastic. So for those who have seen the platform before, you'll be very au fait with it, but for some of the colleagues on the call, you may never have seen this platform before. So just to give you an example of the unique selling points of the system, and when I joined, there's some amazing areas to it, is it's retrieval augmented generative AI, and that's a mouthful. I've been practicing it for weeks, but basically that means that what we do is it's a secure system, and I'm going to demonstrate this. The easiest way to demonstrate, it's a secure system built within your college Azure network, so it's really safe and secure. But also the way that the system is built, we upload everything to your brain, as we call it. We like to keep it nice and simple. And any of the information this system refers to either refers to the system, the information you input into it, or we have worked with local colleges, trailblazer colleges. We've got 22 on board to build over 7,500 prompts which are specific to the FE sector. So unlike ChatGPT, where you could ask a question about policy, it's not going to go and look at Hampshire University in America, for instance. And I think very quickly, I know this webinar is around the quality assistant, but I think the policy assistant really gives you an essence of how that works within your organisation. So I'm only going to touch on this lightly. Just to also touch on, probably within your sector, and I know within the FE sector mainly, and the independent training provider, because I know we've got a few on this call, you'll have colleagues at different parts of their AI journey. So you'll have your early adopters, your trailblazers within your college who are already doing a lot in AI. You'll have people who are using it, just starting to use it, so ChatGPT, Notebook LM, for instance. And then you'll also have people who are a little bit suspicious of it or are worried about using it, for instance. And what you'll see with this is it's really user-friendly. It's an oven-ready turnkey solution, and really easy to use. You don't have to think about prompting. It's just click and go. So I'm just going to show you the policy assistant first very quickly. So you just click in and a screen opens. And this is great for where you as a college will upload all of your current policies. And what that allows you to do is keep it in all of your policies in one place, and you can do some really clever stuff with this system. So I'm just going to give it an example in the context of a teacher. And we all know vaping at the minute is a massive issue in colleges. So it might be a teacher or a tutor who has a student.
Heather, you're zoomed in quite far, I think. So if you can use command and negative, the command and minus key should zoom you out a bit on your web page.
Any better?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. How does that work for you, Andy? Can you see that? I can see that only the centre.
It was absolutely fine. It was fine for me.
Oh, was it?
Looked
Okay.
absolutely normal.
Oh.
Yeah. I was just about to say.
Better, Andy?
Sorry, and here I am as usual messing things up. I'll go back
Is
into
it your
my
math book, Kieran?
Local settings. Yeah.
Is that better, Andy?
Yeah, it looks absolutely normal. Yep.
Okay, thank you. So I have a student who has been found vaping in the toilets. What is the process? It doesn't mind spelling mistakes, luckily, as well. So we've used Morley's policies here. Morley College have very kindly allowed us to use their policies for examples. So what you'll see straight away is, rather than a manager having to take this up to HR or to somebody else, they can go into this system knowing the information is correct. And it also already looks at things like what the immediate actions are, the procedures, and also in terms of documentation. And it allows you to reference there and brings up those policies from within your college. So that's just showing you, giving you a taste of One, it's not going out into ChatGPT giving advice, but also it's drawing from your specific college policies. You can use this to send an email. We will be having another policy assistant webinar in more detail where I can go through, but you can also write it in, say if English isn't the first language of the family or the student, you can also write the email in that language as well. This is what I'd just like you to draw you to as well. So at the moment, I imagine very tempting. I've just finished working on an LSIF project and I had to complete a Form J and report in terms of EDI data, and had lots of data with names, date of births and different things on. And you can't use ChatGPT for that. The servers in America, you don't know what your staff are putting into the system. What's nice about this system is you have an audit trail here, or chat history, where you can tell what your staff have been using, and it's very safe and secure to put data within that. What's also nice about this is as well is with the current Ofsted and the new Ofsted, there's a lot of stuff around workload. You can run some reports in terms of ROI and time spent on where this is saving your staff in specific areas. But not only that, we can look at where your staff are using it quite effectively, and also where they can dip in and use it more effectively in other areas through training as well. So that is just a quick example of what the RAG AI and how it works. So the next thing I want to show you is the AI Quality Assistant, because this is what the webinar is about. So again, really easy to use. You click in. I'm just going to use that one because when we train, we say to pin it to your screen. It's a lot easier to use than when you're working with data. So again, you come in and it's a really easy, user-friendly screen for anyone within your organisation. If you've got people who are more au fait with AI, they can start writing prompts if they want to write additional prompts. But for those who are at the start of the journey, it's a really nice tool for staff using it straight away as well, with our training involved, which is included as part of the package. So I'll just go through the tiles very quickly. So we've got the data analysis tile. Now, what we want to emphasise is this tool isn't just for writing and producing SARs and quips. It's to use throughout the whole year. Now, I've had a few colleges, for example, using it for learner surveys and staff surveys. And because they don't have to spend as much time, for instance, toil looking through staff surveys, it crunches that data, which I'm going to show you in a minute, in a shorter amount of time. They can take, more time to look at the nuances, the root cause of if there are any improvements to be made. And I think it was Birmingham Met who made a lovely comment the other week to say it gives you more time to sit with colleagues with tea and biscuits to look at the root cause and where you can make improvements. It takes the toil out of that number crunching. So I'm just going to show you in a minute how they all work. So you've got your data analysis, your data comparison tool. That's where you compare similar sets of data. They need to be the same, so student surveys, for instance. And then you've got your education inspection framework writer tools. When you see the new tool in a moment, obviously that will look slightly different with such likes as inclusion included. You've got your quality improvement plan, which I'll demo in a moment. And this button here, which is really powerful, which allows you to upload all of your college SARs, so your your curriculum departmental SARs and different things, and it aggregates those to produce your whole college SAR. So again, a time-saving tool there. You've also got your governance tool, your scheme of work assessor, so very light touch on that, but that can look at things like, are you including differentiation within your lesson plans and different things like that. And then also visited a college in London a few months ago, and they had their Ofsted, they'd had the Ofsted call, and they had 3 quality staff members working on improving SMART targets. So we thought, right, we've got a tool that can do this and take the time away from looking at making those SMART targets more specific, measurable and achievable to share with tutors, rather than quality staff spending a lot of time on doing that, and they could concentrate more on that Ofsted visit. So I'm going to jump in and just show you the data analysis tool first. So you can put any data through this, pro-achieve data, pro-monitor data. So I'm just going to demo first. I have got some student demo meet and greet data. So this was from surveys at the start of the year using Microsoft Forms on an iPad, and you can see here, I've got 80 pieces of data here, which staff would need to go through, look through all the comments and everything like that, rather than this system. If you imagine the time saved, you just copy, really easy to use. Control C. Oh, that's a sneak peek of the other one. Control V. Let that load. And then what that does straight away, so no need for prompts or anything like that, it already starts to analyse that data. So it starts to pull out the strengths, where you're doing well, but also, more importantly, areas for improvement. And then the summary of areas for improvement. So if you imagine how long that would have taken to go through manually that data, looking at that. So I'm also just going to show you how that works for ProAchieve. And people may use different systems. So we've got some ProAchieve data there, which will be quite sweet. Again, that starts to look at your course performance, trends and insights. And again, gives you a nice overview and your areas of improvement for that data. So what we...
Sorry, Heather, just to add there, I think one of the things that would be really useful for people to kind of know as well is what you throw into the tool doesn't really have to have very much structure to it, and that's really valuable. That you're not having to take surveys and make them neat and tidy. You can just capture real chunks of data and genuinely kind of chuck it in and ask it to look at it and really start to interrogate it. It's the speed that you can do that independently, I think, that's really valuable in those tools. There's no prep like we normally have when you're trying to kind of tidy it up and make sense of it in the first place. It does that bit, and that's really great.
That's a really good point. So yeah, anything you can use, and I've put a little bit of data together for it represents a departmental SAR, a curriculum area SAR, and that the data in that there isn't much there, and what the new tool, which is even more exciting, presents is even more exciting in the amount of data it takes from that and what it provides as well. So that's a really good point. So I'm just going to show you how the different education inspection framework tool writers work as well. So we've got some data here. So once you've built that data, so getting your student feedback, your ProAchieve data, you'll build a pack basically to run through the tool. So I'm just going to copy that. And again, that brings out some real, as Andy has just mentioned, just the information we put through there, it starts to look at the different parts. So I'll just scroll back up for you. So it looks at your intent, your curriculum implementation, your impact, and your supporting evidence, and some case studies. And what's really nice here, you can really interrogate the data as well. So you can say, what should I be concerned about? Now for this bit, you can sometimes improve the prompt, because what you put in and the prompt is better, the better the information you get out. So there, when it's looking at the information there, it brings out some potential issues and causes for concern. So we've got things like participation rates, maths, surprise, which I suppose is quite consistent, comes out quite often, lesson observations and gaps as well. So once you've got this data, then you can run that through your quality improvement plan. So I'm just going to show you that, and it's really easy. You just copy here, so really user friendly. Press the little sweeper, I like to call it, and you take that data and then you can pop that into your quality improvement plan. And again, with this, you don't have to, it's not just about writing your quality improvement plan. If you've got some surveys, you can run it through there. And when we write quality improvement plans, when we put this into the system, we always start with, and you'll see this root cause is mentioned in the new inspection toolkit. We always like to start with root cause rather than going straight to the problem. So you've got more time now because you've had more time to analyse the data in a shorter period of time using the system. So you've got more time to look at some of the root causes and then improvements. So just a very quick example here, you've got some enrichment activities, and your root cause identification is to conduct surveys or focus groups to understand barriers to participation. You've got some nice intervention strategies here. And then what it does within the individual sections is every time there is an outstanding Ofsted, what we do is we upload that to the system, and when it's considering improvement strategies, it draws from those outstanding Ofsted reports, which I think is a really good feature because you know that is what Ofsted are looking for. It's not drawing from the internet from rubbish, it's drawing from Ofsted reports. So again, that's a really useful tool. Now, in terms of quality improvement plans, a lot of colleges do write them quite differently. And when I come in to do training, I can run through how you can set them out. Some people like to write them in tables. I can just show you actually a nice format. So this will allow you detailed quality improvement plan to areas development with dates in the table. Sorry, pressure about over typing, so I'm just going to put that in. And there you can see, and this is really easy to copy and paste, it gives you a nice clear quality improvement plan with some areas for improvement, some fantastic actions, who's responsible, some key deadlines and some success indicators. So really nice there as a starting point, a starter for 10. What we really want to emphasise is this isn't to just take this information and put it straight into any reporting. This is to take away, look for nuances, look at how improvements can be made when working with teams. I'll just show you how easy that is to copy and paste. So I've got, there you go, it puts it straight into a table for you and a really nice format there to share with staff as well. And then you can work on that with staff members. So
can I just add a point there, Heather, about when you use that quick tool, one of the things we found is really useful is exactly as you said, it's not about it doing it and then you just taking it, because actually people have to be accountable and own it and be responsible for the actions. All the energy and time goes into what you're doing about it, not the preparation of the document. One of the specific things we've done around the QUIP, which I think is really helpful just in terms of our experimentation before we go into developing the college QUIP, is as whilst there's actions in there, is going back to the prompt and saying, could you break that into some milestones? Can you set that, chunk that up for me, give me some in-year milestones? And it's amazing how quickly it can do that for you rather than you trying to quantify it in a big spreadsheet or something like that. We found that really useful, especially for managers who are always, heads of school and curriculum managers who are really tight on time. That's been really helpful, I think.
That's a really good point, and that brings me on to just before we look at the new quality tool. So we've already heard from Andy, for instance, sharing good practice on using the tool is really powerful. So what we want is to build a community of users. So our first user group is meeting on the 26th of June for the quality tool. And that's the exact purpose, like having Andy on the call is so useful, where we can start sharing good practice in terms of collectively as a community and further improving the tools as we go along. Because as we know, AI is constantly evolving, and that's what we want our product to do. So that's a really good showcase of what we're doing. We really want to build a community as part of FEA-I as well.
Heather, there was a
So,
question that you might just
yeah.
want to address quickly now, which is what did you type to get it to output a table-like response? I think you just added the
So,
word as a table into the system prompt, didn't you? If you go to your chat history, you should be able to see.
yeah. So I just typed in. Ooh,
It'll be at the beginning of the blue box, I
here
think.
it is. So excuse the
There we go.
typos. Write me an effective and detailed quality improvement plan to address areas for development with dates in a table. And that's what we cover this as part of training as well. So
Great,
there's
thank you.
lots of ways to use this to get information out in different ways and formats.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Kieran or Andy, have you got anything to add before I move on to the new quality assistant?
I think we're going to certainly hear Andy's whole view shortly, so that would be great. I think we just looked at chat history, which you showed, Heather, didn't you, under the policy assistant? But that's pretty handy that you can go back and see anything you were working on before. You can rename those and just to make so you can keep things together as projects and sort of be able to drop back into previous conversations you were having with it and carry on. So you can at any of those just continue the discussion if someone asks for more information or can you add a bit more detail on where that came from. Go find it in there, ask the tool to add a bit more detail. And all of this, as Heather says, will only be looking into the data you give it at the beginning. So sometimes it will say there is no more detail. Other times it will find more things for you. So yeah, it's a pretty useful part of it.
Perfect. So this is really exciting, but just to caveat, as everyone knows, the new toolkit is in consultation still at the moment. So we, as Kieran said at the start, we don't know anything extra or additional about the new framework. This is what we've produced from working from what has been published currently. It's really exciting. I've been playing around with this for a couple of days, and I'm actually really impressed with some of the stuff it's kind of producing. So as you can see, again, it's a really simple user interface to use. It's really user friendly. This will have the addition of the QUIP and SAR within it as well, so you can run data through that at the end. But this is just a flavour. Again, it's that oven ready turnkey solution where staff can access this straight away and start running data through it. So I'm just going to probably demo a couple of them. We all know inclusion is new. So I've put together, just to caveat, it's some dummy data of a departmental SAR for sport and exercise. It's only being used because we can't use, due to confidentiality, we can't use college SARs. So we don't want to share their information. So just keep that in mind when I'm kind of demoing. So I'm going to show you the inclusion section first, because obviously this is a new one. So nice and clear again, we open it up and I'm just going to find my data. So here it is. So I've got some data within it. We've got some destination and progression data by level, inclusion, achievements and attendance data. And like Andy said before, there's not a lot there actually, which I'm going to pop in. I'm just going to copy that. Put that into there, Control V. Okay. So as you see, this is more specific to the new toolkit. It's already starting to look at some of those judgments. So in terms of looking at that data, we're looking at some data here in terms of high needs, LDD, EHCP data, and it judges it here. And again, this is to take it away with staff for you to make conclusions as well, but it gives you that starting point. And it's quite nice, so it gives you some of the evidence of why, the impact, and also here there is insufficient evidence to confirm these standards are met across the majority of curriculum areas. That's because I haven't put all of the data in, and that's quite helpful there, because sometimes in terms of colleges, it's not that you haven't got the data, it's you've just maybe missed it out from reporting. So it identifies those gaps as much as in terms of where you need to make improvements. I'm just going to show you another one. So I'll show you the curriculum as well. Should be able to just copy and paste that data there. So again, this is looking at what your judgment is. It's looking, for instance, at achievement rates and in terms of national average. But it's also, again, as I alluded to before, it's allowing you to look at those gaps where you need to add more information to your reporting. So really nice again, and provide you those summaries. And again, you can interrogate what should I be concerned about? My spelling.
My top tip there would be, don't worry about it, Heather. It doesn't care about your spelling. And
yeah, I think it does, because I think it's retrieved.
Yeah, one of your favourite things about this is the time and energy that you're getting back. So chuck it in and it'll figure out what you're trying to say, and it's actually your follow-up prompt that gives you the value out of things anyway. So my top tip is just type as fast as you like, you'll be fine.
So I've just run it through, I think this is inclusion as well. And again, there you go, it's giving you some data there in terms of gaps and limitations and conclusions. And again, I don't want to go back into the other tool where we've got the quality improvement plan, but I'm just going to, because I've got here, to do the same thing just to show you. See, this is a nice one here. It gives you your area, what your judgment is, your evidence and comments, so in terms of national average, and where your gap remains. So you could take that away to staff members. Again, it's taking the toil out of looking at that data. And as Andy said, not a lot of data that I've put in. I'll do this last one before we go on to Andy, just to show you how it looks in Equip. So there it's got your, so again, this is where we do some prompt training. Can you put this into a table with dates, for instance? There we go, that's quite nice. And again, you've got your areas for development, your actions, your success criteria, your timescales, and actually who's responsible for that as well. So a nice improvement plan there for you to work towards as a starter for 10. So that's, as we said, from what information we've got at the moment, just a flavour of how the tool will work. You know, it will be developed as more information comes out. But again, I think in terms of, as Andy has said, in terms of time saved, in terms of small amounts of data, and also working in terms of prompts to get more information out of the system, really useful.
And you'd be able to, for using this, how it's built right now is to give you that first view of how might your current SAR look under the new framework. And that's what this is designed to do, is you can paste into it your whole college SAR, if you like, or a departmental SAR, or a data set, as you saw Heather doing just then. And this will have a stab at what does it look like. You'll have seen in the other version, in the current version, it does not give you a judgment, and it's importantly designed not to do that. It is designed to say, here is the data, here is the good stuff, and here is the stuff that needs to be improved, but it doesn't give you a judgment of that. In this, as it stands right now, we have left that in on this, as you'll have seen. It was giving a lot of secure, I saw in Heather's one, but it will give you strong, and indeed it will tell you there's insufficient evidence. As that develops, I imagine we'll make it less judgy and more, here is the data that matters, over to you to make that decision about whether this is strong or secure or I can't remember the other word. Having spent a long time writing the prompts for that, I should very familiar with it. So yeah, at the moment it's a kind of glimpse of how your world might look under a new framework. I think it's fascinating because you can just have a quick peep and see, and it will, as Heather shows, identify where you're missing data in your current SAR, where the new framework's going to expect you to have things, which I think is a useful sort of early indicator at least. But all of that with a massive pinch of salt, because it could completely change, couldn't it? Who knows? But Andy, you have been using, as you've said already a few times, thank you, the quality assistant in your college with your managers. I would love just to hear your feedback. So warts and all, I shall listen in attentively.
Oh, no, thanks, Kieran. I think what's really interesting about the tool is a couple of ways in which people are becoming confident in using it. So people know about AI. People at work, as Heather mentioned, you get your early adopters and you get your users, and then you get people become braver with tools. But you don't want all your organizational data being pushed out into that large language model. So we've got to be a little bit careful about what we ask staff to do, and for us it was definitely a workload based decision to buy the tool. That was really what we were trying to see, was how can we give managers more time for them to do the things that they think matter. I know what I think matters, and I know what I'd love all my managers to be doing, but they've got the real world to contend with after we've had a lovely meeting on a Tuesday morning. They go straight back to the coal face. So of all the stuff we have to do, how can I make that as easy, as efficient, as quick for them as possible, and make it have a bit of impact, and then let them get back to what they think really matters, which is students. So I think the kind of surge we had in use when we first opened up the tool for staff was really positive. People wanted to use it. They wanted to see what their skills were like. You had people kind of sitting watching someone use it, maybe to begin with. So there was real hesitance in, am I going to break it? Am I confident enough to use it? And we've been really keen on saying to people, look, this is a kind of unbreakable squishy ball. You just throw your information in, ask it something, ask it what you want to know, and if it can't tell you, ask it a different question. So that confidence for managers in saying, I've got this information, I need to know this, and the output of that really quickly, almost instantly, became that managers were getting consistent answers. So when it comes to things like departmental SARs, sometimes we call them position statements or position papers, whatever. SAR writing is quite a difficult skill. It's quite hard to learn how to write a good SAR. I know, 100 years ago when I started writing them, they were awful. They were really bad. But actually, you learn it over time, and it's quite an unusual way to write. And you're trying to say, this is the evidence, this is the evaluative judgment, this is what we're going to do. But actually, very quickly using the tool, managers were able to ask it something based on the information that we've got that is really consistent, because all of their attendance reports, data reports, survey, they all get given to them in the same format. But what they then were doing with that information when the data analysis tool was used gave everybody another consistent starting point. And I think that was really valuable for us, because we could see really quickly we went from having a very spiky profile in terms of the quality of the position papers to actually something really consistent, even on a bit of a dummy run. And that was quite exciting as well. So it means what I'm hoping to see as we hit the college official SAR kind of window, is that what's coming out of those departmental manager self-assessments is becoming much more consistent, which means to lift that evidence out and lift out the bits that I want to include in the college SAR should be organically a much quicker process as well. So, great, I get some efficiency out of it as well,
And I was talking to a college principal who was telling me sometimes they'll go into those conversations and the quality of the writing and the evidence is so
Yeah,
bad that you spend that
yeah,
hour or two just trying to work out what actually they're trying to, what the head of curriculum might be trying to say to you.
absolutely.
And so
And if you think
getting over,
about the real world, yeah, I completely agree. And if you think about the real world that a manager's in, what actually happens in the summer window is um, I'll run around the building for 8 weeks shouting about achievement rates and exam claims and end of year, and then we'll come back after the summer break and I'm running around the building shouting about R14 and claims and the ILR and all of this stuff. And in the middle, they've had to have a summer holiday and think to themselves, "Oh my God, I've got to do my SAR." And so you get two things. You get people who are really disciplined and will work really hard on it, or you get people where other, real life creeps in and they've had to rush that. So sometimes the quality of that is not necessarily the fault of the person. It's what's happened in that department, what's happened in their real life, what's happened in
yeah,
other things. So speeding that up for them and letting managers go off on a summer break with 70-80% of the bones of their self-assessment and their quit written, that I don't think anybody in my team has quite understood that's what's going to happen yet. There's a couple of them are going to go, "No, hang on a minute, this is brilliant." And I've got the reassurance that it's all going into somewhere safe. They're not just banging it into ChatGPT and there's all sorts of Nescott, warts and all information out there. So I think that's really valuable, and that is the bit I'm keen on. I'm really keen that managers and staff see it as a workload helping tool. That's kind of, I think, exciting.
yeah,
Um,
great
but I
stuff.
think I think there have been the bits that have been really really popular with our managers, the data analysis and the data comparison. We've not, to be perfectly honest, we've not had huge user prompts in the kind of college SAR and QUIP bit yet, but we're not there in the cycle. People have toyed with it a little bit, but the first 2 months that we had it, there was hundreds of prompts going into that data analysis, and I think people were really, really excited by that. They could see um, that managers, especially new managers, you think about the time that we really get to induct a new manager into what it means to be a manager, um, and then all of a sudden you're hitting them with data and performance tables, and they're like, "Oh my God, I've never seen these before. I was a teacher 6 months ago." So that's a really important tool for them. And I think from a quality perspective, if you're using data to inform your improvement, we know that's essential. Um, what will this allow you to change? Because it's the energy going into the action that's we're going from 50% writing it and 50% tracking it to 10% of the time writing it and 70 or 80% of the time into doing the thing, and then
Mm.
10% of the time at the other end into tracking it and monitoring it, and that's really exciting.
Mm. And do you see it
Yeah.
changing the way you do quality within the college? I mean, I've heard some of the colleges talking about just that ability to go back and look at the data as often as you want to, frankly, that can change things. Are you seeing that or no?
Yeah. So our head of quality at the moment has kind of, as a result of what we're asking managers to do and when and writing the college are, just changed our quality cycle a little bit. So we've updated our quality framework. Um, we've changed the kind of old approach of if something's not going well, there's kind of quality crawling all over it. That we're trying to get away from that and just talk about support. What's the enhanced support that a team or a person or a group get? And I think one of the things um, that I'm interested in for next academic year is, traditionally we've written a quip that covers the entire academic year, and we put milestones in, and each term or half term we come back and update a little box and take it to governors. But actually, we've got an awful lot of information and we've got an awful lot of success. Most colleges, whilst we always focus on the 10 things that drive us absolutely insane, there's 3,000 things that are really, really successful. This helps you tease that out and helps you put your college in a much stronger position in terms of the story, the narrative that you're telling. But
Nice.
I'm really excited about the idea that you can, why not make your quip, the 5 things that really matter at the start of the academic year, And then rather than make that a milestone and then, oh yeah, we've done that bit, but we've not done that bit, and then we'll come back to it next term. Just sign it off. It's done. You've addressed those things as best as you are in term 1. Go back to the tool, ask it to write another one for term 2. You don't have to have this whole, there's no rule book on that. You write the thing that is most useful to your organization. From a SAR and a QUIP point of view, we've all kind of gone down the same road with SARs and QUIPs, because over the years we've shared best practice, and this is a good one and that's a good one. But the tool lets you think about it differently. And I think the idea that you might just have a QUIP that lasts you a term, and at the end of that term, you put in, the information that you've done that addresses it, and your anything from your college dashboards that you've got. Say, right, this is where we are now. What should we focus on for term 2? Because if without doing that, I guarantee you almost everybody's going to put attendance on their QUIP for the whole year. And what are they going to do next year? Attendance for the whole year. And the year after that, I go back a decade, attendance will be on every single QUIP.
Yeah.
So what are we doing about it in individual areas? How have we changed it for boys going to maths? How have we changed it for foundation students who can't come to college? Ask it those really specific things. Because I think we all acknowledge that we're never ever going to fix attendance, right? And we're never all going to be, oh yeah, brilliant, we've done that now. So pick out the things that are really valuable, use the tool to do something about it in that term, and then go back to it and ask it for the next recommendations. And what's nice about doing it that way is, as Heather said, as you guys pump it full of positive kind of practice that comes out of Ofsted reports, you're going to get that in year to then apply to what you're doing. You're not having to wait a whole academic year to start building that into your cycle. And I think that makes it quite dynamic, quite useful for people, and maybe a bit less overwhelming.
Yeah, that's great to hear. And I guess finally-ish, what else would you like to see in it? This is always I'm most fascinated by what else should we be doing with it.
So I had a conversation with Matt a couple of months ago about this, and I've never managed to get there. It's one of those things that I've been toying with for years. Is got to be really careful about how I say this for future job prospects. SARs are really boring. Who reads SARs for a hobby, right? But they are actually really important documents. People get exacerbated, or no, that's the wrong word, exasperated, sorry, with them. They're like, oh, I've got this enormous mountain to climb. This takes that away and gives you something valuable and useful quickly that you can then spend a day fine-tuning and making relevant to you. But then you take it to your governors and you have your validation and you do that, and then it kind of gets parked, and it's a bit of a story that sits there should some external agency come and want to use it or read it. But the bit that's really valuable in this SAR is it's full of data. It is full of data and evidence and facts and information. And actually, most of the people I know who've ever put their eye on a good infographic has thought to themselves, that's amazing. I'd love this for my whatever.
Yeah.
I would love to see AI develop something along the lines of how do you just do what you do, pump it full of all the information that you've got, and you can have a narrative, you can have a SAR that's fairly traditional, but what you really share with parents, stakeholders, schools, head teachers, students, prospective students, anything, is an infographic. And it's, if you're going to talk about ethnicity achievement, well, have a little pie chart, have a little series of stats. It could even be an infographic that eventually, a bit like Power BI, you can have toggles on the right of it, and you say, well, here's all the infographic, the headline bits of information that we've got. Toggle it for young people, toggle it for adults, toggle it for level, qual type. That infographic information, I think, is really interesting, and the speed at which these types of tools will be able to. Normally, you'd need a very well-paid and large marketing team to produce that kind of information, but it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be valuable and relevant now. Move on.
Yeah.
So that's the bit I'd be really excited about, I think.
Interesting. Well, give us something to take back to the
Yeah,
team, and
I can be in the next tool.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. My tech team will be delighted when I go back and say,
yeah,
right,
sorry about
graphic now. They always love it when we give them the
Yeah.
challenge. They always say, actually, what happens in tech world is fascinating. Is they all go like, oh no, 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 can't be done. They
Yeah.
go, I had a little play yesterday, and I've created this sort of thing. We
Yeah.
think is brilliant. So
Yeah.
great. Well, I'll put that to them. Andy, thank you, and happy to.
No problem.
We've got a few questions that have come in already. If you've got questions you'd like to ask, please fire them in now. I'm going to try and tackle as many as we can. We've got one. Can this system integrate with ILM systems like Aptem, etc.? I don't know what Aptem is, but as long as you can get the data out of the system, then, and so you can copy and paste it into this, then it can integrate in that way. So far, we've never built these to automatically talk to your systems. And that's partly because we want the human in the loop all the time. As Andy's saying, the importance is that the managers do look at the data, do look at what it's saying, and don't sort of try and make it too easy, because you could have this thing designed that it literally takes the data from ProAchieve and your systems and write your SAR. It could do that, but we don't think that is sort of quite a sensible step, but it can. So we don't directly integrate. You can, but if you can get the data out, then you can use this tool on it.
We found, I know of Aptem. We don't use it here, but we use similar programs. But the reality is, we found that anything you take the report out based on the information that you want and just throw it in. The tool doesn't really matter. That integration we found so far isn't something that we've needed.
Yeah, great. That's good to know. And what we've done in the tool is train it on the data labeling, so it knows all of the key data and understands FE and skills data, which is really what the clever part of it is. So provided it's not too out there in a system with, and what that means really is if the column headings of your data are just codes, this will struggle. But with the codes where we can, we've trained it on what the most of the headlines of those mean. So. I've got a couple on data protection. There's one here. I'll tackle this. I think, Heather, this is for you. I've had someone say, is there a smaller test version I can take back to my ITP so I can show them what it can do? I guess it's more demo, Heather. We don't make this available because of data security, which we're going to come to. We don't make this a kind of thing you can play with your data coming into our system. But Heather.
I think a demo is better because the difference probably between a GFE and an ITP is the demo differs. We cater it towards what you might be using in terms of you're an apprenticeship provider, for example. We can discuss how you use it for reviews, for one file, Smart Assessor and different things. So it's a slightly different demo, which is easier for us to demo with you, and then it gives the opportunity for questions and answers as well. So we find that's the better way.
Yeah, great. So get in touch. You can reply to the email you received on the invite to this webinar if you want to get in touch with us, or on our website, which is FEA-I.co.uk. You'll be able to contact us there, and Heather will be absolutely delighted to either do an online or in-person session. So whatever works. We have got, how do we ensure data protection? Where is this system hosted? It is hosted. This is the thing. So what we build, FEA-I build private and secure first. And that can be really frustrating because when you play with ChatGPT on the website, there's all kinds of crazy, brilliant things it can do, images and all kinds of wonderful functionality. Because we are running in private and secure territory, we're always but lagging behind what the web app will allow you to do. That's good news, though, because it is private and secure. It is hosted, in Nescot's case and in all of our colleges, inside their Microsoft Azure tenancy is the correct language. So we build it inside your tenancy. All of the data stays inside your Microsoft Azure environment and is protected by your own security arrangements that your IT teams will have put in place, and access is restricted to whoever you want. So it can be everyone in the college, or it can be just a user group if you decide. And again, it's your IT team that make that choice and decide who, well, obviously don't necessarily make the choice, but they make that happen. So it is entirely locked down. That's everything about what we do. We do with a lot of education data and children's social services as well. So it's our world really is how do we make sure this is secure and private first. And all of it processes inside the UK South, which will be where your own data centers are anyway if you're running with Microsoft. if you're ever looking at the free tools, you have to be very careful. The thing I always look at, if someone says to me, you should try Otter app or that README AI notes that keeps joining Teams meetings, or Notebook LM, which is a great tool, all of them process in the US. You're not allowed to do that with student data. So you need to check first, where is this data actually going? So it's a good question that you've asked, I think, is where is it hosted? It's really
I'll just
important.
add, sorry, Kieran, I'll just add to that as well. So quite a few of the colleges now are writing that into their policy, because we've got a free policy template you can use, and one of the questions is, which AI systems do you use? And if you're using this secure system, you're providing staff with a safe and secure architecture, which empowers them that they know they're using that right system. So a lot of the colleges are building that now into policy and strategy. So useful.
Yeah. Great. We've got a
I
quite a
think
specific question. Go on. Sorry, Andy, go for it.
no, I was just going to say, I think the thing that's really good about that is all the unintended kind of positive consequences that I think have come out of using the tool that I maybe wasn't expected to begin with. Things like the smart tool, the smart target tool, and that we did some work where we just took every smart target that had been written this year from ProMonitor, just massive export, chucked them in, and it was just like, and we just said, how many of these are smart, actually smart, have they got dates? And it gave us a fantastic analysis that was kind of, we could chuck back into a spreadsheet, filter by departments. But then you can, because it's secure, because it's our staff and our information, managers can ask it questions about their team. So they can say, which member of my staff, they can take those smart targets and say, which member of my staff needs the most help with smart target setting? Who's on it? So there's managers asking it things that they think, I haven't got time to figure that out, but I've got the information, chuck it in, ask it a question. And that's really interesting, because it means that the person who needs the most help will get it sooner, rather than will find themselves at the end of a miserable performance management process. Actually, we can say, go and see one of the teaching and learning coaches, spend a bit of time with them, setting smart targets, and then the other side of that tool is you can put the targets in and say, make these smart, and then you can reissue them to the team. But where's the learning? That bit about using where the human's in the loop at every stage, there's value in both sides of that.
Yeah, indeed. And we interestingly see, kind of an aside to that, I mentioned our children's social services. We've got a thing that gets called Policy Buddy in a few local councils. And what we've seen a lot of and heard lots of feedback from the social workers that use it is, rather than they get answers, it's used for policy decisions, or not decisions. Actually, I have to be very clear, it doesn't make decisions. In fact, we told it can't make decisions, but it will help them with here's what you should do in this scenario. And what we find is they then chat with it to find out a bit more. So rather than, the risk we're all worried about is, are we all going to become really stupid because AI is just going to do all the thinking? We're just going to sit pressing buttons all day. What we see is they then will spend a bit of time going, that's interesting. Where's that from? Or tell me more about that policy. Or I wasn't aware of that bit. So it's really
just as you've mentioned that, when you asked me earlier on about what future tools are there, just come into my head that, what would be really handy is a little safeguarding buddy. I've got a student who has said X, what should I do? And actually just pulling out that referring back to Kixie, or I've got a student I've not seen in 3 weeks. We'll just say, well, actually, in terms of Kixie, you should have got in touch with them within 2 weeks, or, just all those little tools that help a member of staff do something that they can do in a time frame, because normally they're, commandeered between the classroom and the staff office when they're going to have their lunch. That's where it has so much impact on people's time.
Yeah,
it's really interesting.
And what we've seen with the policy side as well, and colleges have policy assistant too, as Heather demonstrated, but it's a way of keeping compliant with your current policy. Yeah. So the children's social worker problem is they've heard this problem before, so they know what to do. Well, that might be 5-year-old information now.
Yeah.
None of us are reading the policies every day, are we? So having just check it with this, and you'll get the very latest. It's really interesting.
One tiny final note on that, Kieran, which I think is again came out of something that I wasn't expecting, was where staff use that tool. Where it's been brilliant is they're saying, well, I need to do this in line with this policy. What other policies are impacted by this? And they'll say, well, you need to remember this one, and this one, because it comes up. That's amazing, because quite often you'll update a policy and forget it refers to it in another one somewhere else, and that's been
Yeah, no,
really, really useful.
it's really good for that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right, I'm very conscious of the time. I don't want to run over. So huge thanks, Andy, for joining us for this. We really appreciate it. I know you've given up an hour of your time on this, and it's not, I'm sure you've got a lot of other things you could be doing. So thank you very much for coming. Heather, thanks for such a great demo. And to everybody that joined us today, thank you. There's a video that will come, I think, in an hour or a day or something. You get automatically sent the video. And we would love to talk to you about this, of course, we would. So the website again is FEA-I, FEA-I, see what we've done there, .co.uk, or you can reply to the email you got this invite from, and we will pick it up from that as well. We love to talk about this stuff, as you can probably tell. Thank you all very much indeed. I'm going to end the session now. See you again. Thank you. And thanks again, Andy.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.